Time to roll.
I've got a ton of gravel in my shoes, world on my shoulders, a heart full of blues. I'm in the dirt, down in the dirt.
All right, guys, just wrapped up a big long run workout, first Pacific one towards Atlanta. It's really encouraging today to see on the hills, in the sand, clicking sub fives, pretty comfortably, pretty easy. We still got 70 days to go. Things are only gonna get better from here. It's gonna be fun in Atlanta. Feeling really confident. It's never felt better, stride-wise, power-wise, and yeah, I'm excited.
So over the last year, since running the 5K time trial on February 28th, where I ran 14:09 in a solo effort, I've also went on the following week and ran the Gate River Run, which is a really great result for me. I ran a 10K PR on the way to a 15K PR and finishing 8th in the nation, which was a really cool result, and to get to run that in Jacksonville. Then from there, I went on to run the Boston Marathon, running another PR of 2:17 and finishing 22nd. And then after that, I went on to run the Toronto Marathon and once again improved my marathon PR down to 2:13:04. And then I also ran the Matanzas 5K just a few weeks back in January and ran a new 5K road PR of 14:07. Over the last few years, balancing both running and coaching, it was getting quite demanding. I spent a lot of my time, stretching, mobilizing, loosening things up, and then I would sit at my desk for long periods of time, and I felt like my hip flexors would get tight, my back was tight, my posture would be thrown off. So, there's a lot of ways to improve in running, and we often focus on miles, minutes, seconds, things like that, but I felt like there was a lot of room for improvement in this area. So I've got a stand-up desk, that's where I first started, and that really allowed me to switch up my position. I'll spend some time sitting, some time kneeling, a lot of time standing. I have a little bench underneath my desk, so I can kind of switch it up there as well. So that's really been a positive change, and I don't feel like I'm just working against myself constantly going between stretching and then getting tight, stretching, getting tight. I've also worked on my posture. I felt that my head was pulling forward like a lot of us feel happening with sitting at desks and looking at the screen. So I actually got a device where I attach it to my neck and it vibrates if I come too far forward. So that's really helped me get a more upright posture. I can really feel that in my running. When the head goes forward, we tend to overstride, reach out in front to counterbalance that. So that's been a really positive change. And then to take that a step further, Angela and I have also transformed our home to a more natural movement lifestyle home where we've removed a lot of chairs. We spend, when we eat meals, we sit on the floor where we're able to sit in a lot of different postures, a lot of different movements.
One day I come home and Enoch says, I want to get rid of our table and all of the chairs and the couch. And I'm pretty sure he actually said something along the lines of, chairs are killing us. And I was in a bit of shock, and I asked him, what podcast did you listen to today? But we actually have made a lot of positive changes, and after reading more about the benefits, we have converted our table into a floor table, but it also can convert to a standard size table as well, which I like that flexibility. And we have a hybrid couch that works really well, and that's very comfortable.
What's up, guys?
How's it going?
I'm good.
Good.
My name is Thomas Kipp. I'm the owner of the Athlete's Den. I am a massage therapist and mobility specialist. So I've been working with Enoch for almost 3 years now. With working with a top-level athlete, they don't have a lot of problems. So it's really what I consider and I even would be very frank with him, I don't want you to feel like I'm nitpicking you, but that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm splitting hairs because that's where the gains are made with, when working with top level athletes. They don't have these big deficits. They have these little tiny nuances that create inefficiency. And when addressed under, a microscope, if you will, they tend to show little bits of improvement over time, and that's exactly what he's done. So since we are about a month out from the Olympic trials, we are really just focusing right now on just keeping his body nice and healthy, keeping his lymph moving really good, so he's recovering from his harder efforts. Because even his efforts right now are starting to taper down a little bit. He's still got some fast stuff, but mostly we're just focusing on recovery, and he does all of his own movement and that kind of stuff on his own. So he's just coming here for my age-old specialty of massage.
So one thing that I've really worked on over the last 6 months is changing my form to become more efficient, especially at race paces, and more powerful, beat the legs up a little bit less. So I started searching, looking online, reading things, talking to different people, and just analyzing my videos. And one thing I noticed is, at my easy paces, my form was quite different from at my faster paces. And, as my form would break down later in races, my cadence would slip, my stride would get a little longer and become less efficient. So that's something I really started to kind of play around with and figure out, and I switched shoes around, played with different things there, and also really started to change how I turned over, reducing ground contact time, my foot landing, and also driving the knee more to pull the foot up and bring more power to the ground. So that's something I really focused on. And at first it was a real struggle, but as things went to, over the summer and into the fall, things started to click. And fortunately, right around Toronto, things started to come together and felt really good.
Enoch has really focused on form changes recently, and also cadence, increasing his cadence. And with that has also come new shoes. So for so many years, he had been training in the Nike Pegasus, but now he's been transitioning to more of a minimal shoe. And so Enoch already had quite a bit of a shoe collection, but his shoe collection has grown a lot more now. So not only does he have his, some of his Nike Pegasus, but he has tons of minimal shoes as well in the closet. I would imagine he probably has at least 50 to 60 different pairs. And and many times, I can see him, the doorbell rings, a new package comes, and he tries to sneak in shoes in the closet. But I know when I check in there that there's quite a bit of shoes piling up.
Another thing that I've really focused on over the last year is increasing the amount of time I spent in the weight room. It's something I used to do periodically, but it's now become at least a once, weekly or even sometimes more, where I get in the weight room and I'm really doing some heavy strength training. And I feel like that started to show itself in Toronto, and it's only getting stronger. And I really feel that that will be a big piece of my performance in Atlanta on the hills. It's kept me healthy, I'm getting stronger, and that's been something that I feel has also been a really positive change. So, as a coach and as a longtime runner, I know it can be risky to change a lot of variables at once, changing how you're living in your home, changing how you're running, changing, your training. Any of those things come with a certain level of risk. So to do something like this in the year leading up, to the Olympic trials, I knew there was some risk to it, but I also felt like, one of the reasons I run is for self-improvement and self-betterment, and I knew there was something that could be fixed, could be improved, and I would regret not making those changes. So while I knew there was some risk, I knew the reward was even greater.
I think it's great Enoch has made improving his economy or the efficiency of his movement a priority this block. I can already see it showing in a lot of his workouts. When we look back at CIM, to Boston, to Toronto, where he just ran 2:13 low, we can look at the metrics, we can look at cadence and power and ground contact time, and all of those things have improved over the years. So an outsider might look and think this is something that he's done recently, but this is something he's challenged himself to improve on for quite a while.
So 1 month out from the Olympic trials, I've really been focusing in on my training, and I try not to look too much into how good the workouts are going or how many miles I'm putting in. Of course, it's hard to not notice those things, but really I'm just focusing on staying healthy, getting sleep, nutrition, and executing what I know works best for me in training and not trying to change anything up there. So while I've been making a lot of other changes, the focus of my training for this build has been sticking to what I know works best for me.
He actually seems a little bit more relaxed, to be very honest, and maybe that's coming from experience of running marathons, but he just seems to be in the zone, ready to go.
When I first started the process of, I want to, to train for a marathon, I want to set the goal of qualifying for the Olympic trials and running in the Olympic trials, really, I think my focus was just continuing my love of running and the passion I have for running and continuing that growth in a new way and taking on a new challenge. And it was sort of a fun thing to try to accomplish, which was, getting the OTQ, then getting to run in the Olympic marathon trials, but it was really about a bigger picture thing. But then as I started, the documentary, telling people, the Olympic trials are coming up, it's easy to get caught up, and I definitely found myself getting caught up in, I have to start to, chase what's there, which is trying to make an Olympic team or trying to finish top 10 in the Olympic trials or trying to run a certain goal time, and finding things that were really like set goals that once you accomplish those, that's why I was training, that's why it was worth it, that's why all the sacrifices, all the time that was going into it. And I think running Boston this year in particular, I latched on to the mentality of I'm here to run with the best runners in the world and prove that I belong. So that way at the Olympic trials, I can build on that and maybe make the Olympics or something like that. And I started to lose sight of why I really do this, which is because I love to run, I love to be challenged, I love to continue that journey. And I know it sounds cliche to just focus in on the process or focus in on the journey and not worry about the goals. But really, I think it was taking away some of the fun and some of the joy and some of the reasons why I go out every day and run. And I love to inspire others. I love to be a leader in the community. But really, for me, this is just about continuing something that I found 20 years ago that I love. It's been a part of my life, and at times, it stopped. At times, I've come back to it, and it's continuing that journey. So often I get asked, what are you going to do after the Olympic trials? And really, at this point, as long as I continue to enjoy running, I plan to keep running. I plan to keep racing. I plan to keep learning. And I've learned so much through this process about myself, about the marathon process, about myself, and not just the process, the process of doing this documentary also has taught me a lot. It's helped me think about these things in a new way and communicate them to my community and anyone that's watching this. So it's really been, I would say, a challenge, a part of this that I didn't think would be challenging. The focus was a challenge on all the miles, all the paces, all those things, but the mental side of it too is a big part of the equation. And I really am happy with how my mindset's kind of come full circle and where I'm at heading into Atlanta next month.